is there any point building a roof when the rain's already got in? And the answer is no. And I feel that's what's happened here. Right?
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Sweet and Sour Soccer. Good afternoon, good evening, or good morning. Guys, do us a favour, hit that like button, please, and subscribe. It'll come up somewhere around about here. It means so much to us. Guys, as you can see from the title of the video, my alarm's going off. I do apologise. As you can see from the title of the video, it's not been a good time for Rafa Benitez. And, Scott, as it says, is he destined to fail?
It's such an interesting one, isn't it? But I mean, look, you've got to look at this weekend, haven't you? It went terrible. Brentford weren't in a great run of form. They've obviously picked up a 1-0 win against Everton. But you've got to start off by looking at the simple fact that the attacking line of Everton was Iwobi in a number 10 role and Rondon. Now, I honestly challenge anyone to name a worst two in Premier League history. That is what Rafa is dealing with at the moment, because I don't think you will. In fact, if you asked a mid-table championship team or one pushing for the playoffs, let's say someone like QPR at the moment, do you think they'd honestly take Iwobi and Rondon as their attacking lineup in the championship? I don't think they would.
I remember, and this isn't me saying I told you so, but I remember saying 5 years ago, Iwobi is one of the worst footballers I've ever seen. I think he got an assist to Decore early on in the season at Goodison Park. Decore rifled it in the corner, and everyone was saying, "Oh, Iwobi assist." But if you look at the goal, it came off his shoulder. He knew nothing about it. Like, this guy, I mean, and Rondon, the less we say about him, the better. Let's talk about the form first.
Yeah.
1 draw in 5. That's not for good reading. And it's not like it's not like in the last 5 games have played City, United, Liverpool, and Palace. They haven't played all the top teams. They've had some, on paper, good fixtures. I know you've got some more stats and some facts that you want to whip out as well, just about how bad the form's been.
Yeah, well, it's an interesting one, isn't it? No wins since the 25th of September, actually. That's how far it dates back. That's like 2 months, isn't it now? Over 2 months since the last victory. A lot of those have been defeats as well, as you mentioned. And I think it all boils down to this, don't we? And we spoke about this when Everton were in good form, and maybe we even got a bit carried away with Everton's good form. But we did speak about it. They pick up 1 or 2 injuries, and then let's see what happens, because that squad is bare. And when you look at the attacking options that could have come off the bench at the weekend, you had Gray, you had Tosun, and the last one, obviously, you had was Sims, who's a young prospect, but obviously very unproven at a Premier League level. So I think that just shows where the problems are lying for Rafa. There's no strength and depth in the squad, and unfortunately, Everton have picked up some horrible injuries. I mean, if you look, Decore came back at the weekend, but you still have Mina out, you still have Richarlison, and you still have DCL. And I think that's where you see there's no goals in the last 3 games. I think you see where the problem's coming for Rafa at the moment. And as I say, when you're starting Iwobi and Rondon, he's that rubbish. I nearly forgot his name there. Is it Rafa's fault? Can we really be, honestly, it's a hard one, isn't it? Because Everton fans will be wanting to blame someone, and someone needs to be accountable. But is that person that should be accountable really Rafa Benitez at the moment? Because I don't know if it is. I really don't.
Yeah, I see. I was going to ask this to you because although you're not Rafa out, you're nowhere near Rafa out. I should make that clear. You have less hope than me that Rafa can turn this around. Yeah. There's a small part of me that thinks if he can get Townsend playing again like he was early on, Damari Gray, when he gets Richarlison and DCL back, they're going to pick up more points. DCL's a quality player. Richarlison's unbelievable. I think I get the sense that you think the writing's on the wall. I don't mean this week or next week, or it might not be for another 2 or 3 months, but maybe next season. I think you believe that, whether it's right or wrong, He won't be there next season.
Well, it's a hard one, isn't it? Because it's going to be about, who's going to take the culprit. And I think Rafa probably is going to be one of the first suspects where it might perhaps be warranted to in the end. But at the moment, I'm not fully sure it's fair. But it is an interesting one. As you say, you've got DCL to come back. They've also got obviously Calvert-Lewin to come back, who are going to be the two main outlets. Maybe they can turn around that goal scoring misfortune. You currently look at the fact they're sat in 14th, which really isn't good enough for Everton Football Club. But they're currently only 3 points off United in 8th. They're only 5 points off our club Wolverhampton Wanderers, who are currently sat in 6th, which would gain them, which would gain, I guess, would gain European football guaranteed, wouldn't it? Like 6th position gives you that, the Europa League. It at least gives you Europe, I guess, in sense. So it's an interesting one, isn't it? It isn't all doom and gloom, but the only six points off relegation. Now, I don't think Everton will go down. I really don't. But what I'm really fearful of is where the goal's going to come from. And I don't feel Rafa is the main culprit here. I think it actually lies further on up. I think, and it's a hard one because we know Everton are going to get a new stadium. We also know that the owners have put a lot of money in, but it's just been done that badly that now, you can't blame the owners because they've put the money in, but you can blame them in the sense that they've just handled how a football club should be handled so badly that there's now these FFP worries. And of course, that's why you saw Townsend and Gray and Rondon as signings this summer.
We did a video, I think it was just before the season started, with the help of obviously Mike from the Blue Boys Network, and he asked us to do an analysis on Everton from an outside perspective as Wolves fans, someone that isn't affiliated with the club. We spoke about the players, Rafa, the owners, and the fourth one was Marcel Brands. And I was wax lyrical about Brands. He'd come from PSV. I think he'd won them 2 titles out of the last 3 years when they had only won 1 in the previous 4 seasons. I think I was really excited about the prospect for Everton this season. We know they had a lot of free transfers in the summer. Obviously, Townsend being one. Gray only cost 1.5 million. They smashed the start of the season, but then, are we now seeing their level? Everyone thought that they were gem findings. Palace let Townsend go on a free. It says a lot. Has that pixie dust almost gone now? Because they are scoring goals. They scored more goals than Wolves this season. Yeah. We've only scored 12 in 13 games. Everton this season, and this is only in the league, have 8 different goal scorers. And they have 3 players that have scored 3 goals. We've only got 1, and that's Hwang. Raul's only scored 2 this season in the league. So they can score goals, but once they get 1 or 2 injuries in defence, Digne, Coleman, again, that comment you mentioned, it's bare bones.
Exactly. And I think, you look at Townsend and Grady obviously come in with fantastic form, but you do have to bear in mind, as you say, 1 was let go on a free from Palace. I think a lot of that was to do with the wages he was on there. And, Damari Gray, he was allowed to come for 1.5 million. I mean, if a championship club made a winger signing for 1.5 million, you'd probably be a bit like
disappointed.
Yeah, it's like a League One. And look, he's not a League One player. That's not what I'm suggesting. But I think we maybe all jumped the gun with him, and especially him. I mean, Townsend's last goal was 6 games ago. Obviously, that goal against United.
When I put him in my FPL,
celebration.
I knew he wouldn't start scoring because when I put him in my FPL, he hasn't scored a goal since. Like, it's just.
And look. I mean, Damari Gray's last goal, you're talking, was the 13th of September. Since then, there's been 9 league games and 1 cup game since he last got a goal. So it's very much worn off, hasn't it? It really has the impact that they've had. And they need to continue having an impact because, they've really got to be the players that step up. And it's an interesting one. You also mentioned Marcel Brands as well. He's had a bit of a mixed bag, but let me ask you this. I'll give you one of my analogies. Is there any point building a roof when the rain's already got in? And the answer is no. And I feel that's what's happened here. Are Everton now paying for past mistakes that they've now started to fix, but it's a bit too late?
You could be right with that, with the amount of money that they spent on Bang, bang average players in the last 3 or 4 years. A couple that we won't mention for obvious reasons. But yeah, I mean, it's an impossible task for brands, isn't it? I just, do you know what? I don't know what to say about Everton. Who are they as a football club? And I'm sitting here today in my Everton top, and I was, I'm not an Everton fan, but Scott, who are they as a football club? I watched Mike's video yesterday after the game, his match reaction. I mean, the guy just doesn't know what to say. Deflated. His video was only about 8.5 minutes long, and for half the video, he was sitting in silence, staring at the floor. I mean, I feel so bad for the guy. What? Especially with their neighbours as well, doing so well. I mean, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say about Everton. I really, really don't. I mean, I like to think I'm a knowledgeable football fan. I can look at an outside club or club from the outside and say, oh, if they fix that and they fix this, they'll be okay. But with Everton, man, what?
And I think that's why it's really hard for Everton fans, because I don't think there's an individual person to blame. I think they're paying for, in my opinion, they're paying for past mistakes. I mean, and the real mistake that they made is they went in with money, and the owner, that's why it's hard to blame the owner, isn't it? Because he's gone in with money, he's gone in with the right attitude, but he's just executed it. They've executed it so poorly. But we've done this before. We've gone through the players that they brought, and none of them have a resale value that much above what they're paid for them. You could argue maybe Calvert-Lewin. I was going to say Richarlison, but they even paid, I think it was 50, was it?
50 million.
50 million for Richarlison. You'd argue, yes, you might get an extra 10, 20 million, but I'm not even too sure there now about what his market value is, in all honesty. And I think that's where Everton are really paying. And it's going to be an interesting one, because someone is going to be to blame for this, and maybe it will be Rafa, with obviously, his previous Liverpool connections, but I'm not sure that's the right person to direct the blame at. And the honest thing is, I'm not sure who. So Everton fans, let us know, who do you think's to blame for this? Do you think you can turn it around? And I don't know, Liverpool and Arsenal next to come. I mean, if you're looking for a way to reform, you get a win against Everton. Against Liverpool. Then you're back in the game, aren't you? Really,
Scott, very quickly. Yes or no, does Rafa finish the season with Everton?
I don't think he does, no.
I don't think he does. Guys, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. For any Everton fans watching, I'm sorry it couldn't be more positive, but
we tried.
We tried. Help us out by hitting that like button.
If there is one positive, guys, we did a video on whether Spurs could be title challengers. Look what happened to them. Last week we did a video on why Wolves are going to get Europe. We drew to Norwich at the weekend. So basically, the fact we've done a video on, the fact it's all doom and gloom for Everton, you're going to go and beat Liverpool, and you're going to beat Arsenal. And if you do, make sure to thank us by hitting that subscribe button. See you on the next one.
I love it.